Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your premier destination for breaking news, exclusive insider analysis, and all the latest updates on our Los Angeles Lakers. What I'm about to share with you involves trade discussions that could reshape our roster, philosophical debates about our timeline, and decisions that will define whether we maximize LeBron's remaining window or pivot toward building around our younger core. This is the kind of content you need to stay ahead of the curve, so make sure you're locked in for every detail. Let me start by establishing where we are as a franchise right now, because context is absolutely everything when evaluating potential moves. The Lakers are sitting at 10 wins and 4 losses, which represents one of the stronger starts we've had in recent seasons. What makes this record even more impressive is that we've navigated a significant portion of this stretch without LeBron James, who's been working through a sciatica issue and ramping up his activity with the South Bay Lakers as part of his rehabilitation process. The fact that we've maintained this level of success without our best player speaks volumes about the depth we built and the system J.J. Redick has implemented. However, anyone who's been watching these games closely knows that despite the impressive record, there are clear areas where this roster could use reinforcement. We've struggled against particularly athletic teams that can pressure us defensively and push the pace in transition. Our half-court offense tends to stagnate when possessions break down and we don't have clean looks in the flow. And perhaps most importantly, we could desperately use one more consistent scorer who can take pressure off. Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves when the game slows down and becomes more physical, which is exactly what happens in playoff basketball. These roster construction questions have led to some fascinating discussions in NBA media circles and presumably inside our own front office about what type of moves the Lakers should be exploring as we approach the trade deadline. There's a fundamental tension between two different philosophies of team building, and understanding this debate is crucial for every Lakers fan who wants to comprehend the decisions our front office will be making over the next few months. On one side of this debate, there are analysts and insiders who believe the Lakers should be aggressive about adding veteran talent that can help us win immediately. The logic here is straightforward. LeBron James is 40 years old, still performing at an elite level, and we have no idea how much longer this window will remain open. Every season we don't maximize our championship potential is a wasted opportunity that we'll never get back. This perspective argues that we should be targeting proven scorers and playmakers who can contribute right now, regardless of their age or contract situation. On the other side, there's a growing contingency that believes the Lakers need to start thinking beyond LeBron's timeline and focus on building a sustainable contender around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. This philosophy argues that we should be targeting younger players who can grow with our future core, defenders and shooters in their mid-20s who will still be in their prime when Doncic is leading this franchise. This approach requires more patience and a willingness to potentially sacrifice some short-term upside for long-term sustainability. This philosophical debate has crystallized around one specific player who's been connected to the Lakers for years and whose name has resurfaced recently as a potential trade target. We're talking about a veteran scorer currently playing for a team that's struggling badly and may be headed toward a full rebuild. This player has deep connections to Los Angeles, a proven track record of production, and a skill set that could theoretically address some of our offensive needs. But there are also legitimate questions about whether acquiring him represents the right type of move for where this franchise is headed. The Sacramento Kings are in complete disarray right now, sitting at 3 wins and 11 losses, which represents one of the worst records in the entire Western Conference. Their roster construction has been a disaster, featuring a collection of players whose skills don't complement each other and whose collective defensive limitations have been exposed night after night. The combination of veterans they've assembled simply doesn't work, creating a clunky offensive hierarchy and major defensive problems that have led to blowout losses and mounting frustration throughout the organization. When a team falls apart this dramatically and this quickly, they typically have two options: make minor adjustments and hope things turn around, or embrace a full teardown and start accumulating assets for the future. All indications suggest that Sacramento is leaning toward the latter option, which means several of their veteran players could soon be available on the trade market. Among those veterans, there's one name that stands out as both the most logical player to move and potentially the most valuable asset they could flip for. Draft capital or flexible contract. This player is on an expiring deal, which makes him attractive to contending teams that don't want long-term salary commitment. He's still producing at a high level despite being in his mid-30s, averaging over 18 points per game with solid efficiency. His scoring profile is exactly what contending teams trust in playoff situations: mid-range mastery, late clock creation, and the ability to control tempo when possessions break down. Through 13 games this season, he's averaging 18.2 points, 3.5 assists, and 3.4 rebounds while shooting efficiently from the field and showing improved confidence from three-point range. Lakers Nation, the player I've been building toward is DeRozan, and according to recent reporting from Clutch Points, the Lakers have been identified as a logical destination if Sacramento decides to make him available. DeRozan represents exactly the type of veteran scorer who could theoretically help our offense immediately, providing another reliable option in the half-court and taking pressure off our primary creators. He's an LA native who starred at USC. He's spoken openly in the past about wanting to play for the Lakers, and the timing might finally align for this connection to become reality. The case for pursuing DeRozan is compelling in several ways. First and foremost, he addresses our need for another consistent scorer who can create his own shot when the offense bogs down. We've seen too many possessions this season where Doncic or Reeves are forced into difficult attempts late in the shot clock because nobody else can generate quality looks. DeRozan excels in exactly those situations, using his mid-range game and footwork to get clean looks even against set defenses. That skill becomes exponentially more valuable in playoff basketball when possessions are more precious and defenses are more locked in. Second, DeRozan could provide crucial support for our second unit and help stabilize lineups when our stars are resting. One of our challenges this season has been maintaining offensive flow when Doncic sits, and having another veteran playmaker who can orchestrate possessions and get teammates involved would be invaluable for keeping leads or staying competitive during those stretches. He's proven throughout his career that he can function as both a primary option and a complementary scorer depending on what the situation requires. Third, the acquisition cost would likely be reasonable given that he's on an expiring contract and Sacramento is motivated to move veterans for assets. We could potentially construct a deal around Jared Vanderbilt for salary matching purposes or piece together a package of smaller contracts if the Kings prefer flexibility. We wouldn't need to gut our roster or sacrifice major future assets to make this happen, which makes it an attractive option from a risk management perspective. However, there are legitimate concerns and counterarguments that need to be addressed. And this is where the philosophical debate I mentioned earlier becomes crucial. ESPN's Brian Windhorst has been vocal about his belief that the Lakers should not be targeting players like DeRozan, arguing instead that we should prioritize younger players who fit the timeline of Doncic and Reeves, rather than short-term veteran scorers who don't solve our long-term needs. Windhorst's argument is nuanced and worth understanding fully. He acknowledges that DeRozan would absolutely help the Lakers this season and could make us more dangerous in the playoffs. But he questions whether adding an older, ball-dominant scorer aligns with where this franchise should be headed strategically. He's used Herb Jones as an example of the type of player we should be targeting, a mid-20s perimeter defender who can shoot, switch across multiple positions, and grow with our future core as we transition beyond LeBron's era. The defensive concerns are particularly valid. Our biggest need right now isn't another scorer. It's perimeter defense and athleticism to handle the elite wings and guards we'll face in playoff series. DeRozan doesn't solve that problem and might actually exacerbate it by taking minutes away from younger, more athletic defenders. We've already got several high-usage creators on this roster, and introducing another ball-dominant piece could complicate spacing and decision-making rather than simplifying our offensive execution. There's also historical precedent to consider. DeRozan's partnership with Zach LaVine in Chicago had a defined ceiling and never resulted in playoff success. His current pairing with Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento has highlighted similar fit issues, with the team struggling to defend or play with pace. When you're building around a ball-dominant superstar like Doncic, who dictates possessions at such a high rate, you need to be thoughtful about the ecosystem you create around him. Adding another player who needs the ball in his hands to be Effective might not be the optimal construction. Windhorst made a particularly interesting point when he said that if the Lakers traded for DeRozan this afternoon, it would generate massive headlines and excitement, but it might not actually be the type of move that positions us for sustained success. His argument is that we need to start thinking several years ahead rather than several months ahead, building a foundation that will remain competitive even after LeBron retires. This tension between competing now and building for the future is the central question facing our front office. Do we go all in on maximizing LeBron's remaining window, even if it means acquiring older veterans on expiring deals who might not be part of our long-term plans? Or do we exercise patience and discipline, targeting younger players who can grow alongside Doncic and Reeves and keep us competitive for the next decade? My personal take is that both perspectives have merit, and the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. We absolutely should be trying to win championships while LeBron is still elite, because windows like this don't stay open forever, and we owe it to him and our fans to maximize every opportunity. But we also can't completely mortgage our future or ignore the reality that Doncic and Reeves represent the foundation of this franchise moving forward. In DeRozan's specific case, I think the move makes sense if the acquisition cost is truly minimal and we're not sacrificing significant assets or young players to make it happen. Adding a veteran scorer on an expiring deal doesn't prevent us from also pursuing younger talent or building toward the future. It's a calculated risk that could help us in the short term without destroying our long-term flexibility. However, if Sacramento demands substantial draft capital or young players, then I'd probably lean toward Windhorst's perspective and focus on targets who better fit our defensive needs and timeline. The storyline connecting DeRozan to the Lakers has been hovering around the franchise for years, and there's undeniable appeal to the idea of him finally coming home to play for the team he grew up watching. A closing lineup featuring LeBron, Doncic, Reeves, and DeRozan will be loaded with experience, shot creation, and basketball IQ. That type of veteran-heavy group could be incredibly dangerous. In playoff situations where execution and composure matter most, nothing is imminent right now. The Lakers are winning, getting healthier with LeBron's return approaching, and still learning their identity under J.J. Redick's system. But Rob Pelinka and the front office understand the stakes and the importance of making smart decisions at the trade deadline. If Sacramento fully embraces a teardown and makes DeRozan available at a reasonable price, we'll absolutely be in those conversations evaluating whether the fit makes sense. What I want to hear from every member of Lakers Nation is your perspective on this debate. Do you think we should pursue DeMar DeRozan if he becomes available? Or do you agree with Brian Windhorst that we should be targeting younger, more defensive-minded players? How do you balance the desire to win now with LeBron versus building for the future with Doncic and Reeves? What other players should we be targeting at the trade deadline to address our needs? Drop all your thoughts and analysis in the comments below because I want to hear from this incredible community. If you haven't subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report yet, you need to hit that subscribe button immediately. This is where you get breaking news first, insider analysis you won't find anywhere else, and the kind of deep dive content that helps you understand what's really happening with your Lakers. Smash that like button if you found this analysis valuable. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update. And share this video with every Lakers fan you know. We're building something special here, and I want you to be part of every step of this journey as we chase champion. Number